Good morning, everybody. Craig here. Monday, 5th of March. Yeah, it is Monday, 5th of March. um, had a really terrific weekend. Good catch up after a week of travel. Well, I spoke to you yesterday, didn't I? Sunday morning when I started to plan for the Prose for the week. And I set a little plan in the afternoon about exactly how I wanted to tackle this week, not just in terms of writing, in terms of a number of goals that I've got in my life. And certainly writing was a big part of that for the morning. And also setting up all these other things, moving, exercise, moving. By moving, I mean exercise. So just getting out of the morning, getting the right amount of exercise, coming back, writing. Those were some things that I didn't necessarily have the right balance of before. I was writing some mornings but not moving. Other mornings I'd go for a run and then I didn't leave myself enough time to write, particularly on, I guess, the holidays more so, when time wasn't such a factor, but then I had to consider how that would look for the work week. So just those sorts of considerations. And then obviously yesterday I was thinking about, how will I go with writing the amount of prose that I wanted to write each day. My 665 goal, could I do that within an hour? So this morning was the first test of that, really. I mean, I had written, what did I say, like 170 words or something the previous weekend, just to get myself started, to get my head back into prose. And I wrote a little bit more yesterday morning, probably an extra 100 words. I think I got to about 270. And I sat down this morning to write the rest, and I ended up, I've got 899 words down. I did it within an hour, and it was actually a little bit of an inefficient hour. I wanted to get a photo reference for one of the things to refer to. That took a bit of time. That's something that I need to get ready on a Sunday, because I actually didn't do a very good job planning on the Sunday. I just really read over what I was going to write, and I felt like I had enough information there, but I forgot just how much I'm reliant upon visual things when I write. And I knew I had taken a photo years ago of a particular point in Newcastle on top of a car park that I wanted to refer to, but I didn't know where I sort of knew where it was, but my internet connectivity down the back here is not amazing, so I was using my phone and going through Tumblr feeds and things, and it was just quite an inefficient way to start the morning of writing. This is the sort of thing I should be doing on a Sunday, looking at all the things that need to be written and then sourcing photos. That's a really good use of time on a Sunday. So lesson learned. But otherwise, I am really happy with what I've written. A little bit concerned of the prose style at this stage. It is only first draft, but I also, I mean, I like it, but I just a bit self-conscious, and I always feel like I need to brutalise it a lot more. I need to put it more into Beckett than into, maybe it's a little more Pynchon at the moment. I mean, it sounds ridiculous to compare what I've just written this morning to one of the greats, but in terms of that exuberance of language, I always feel a little bit better when it's a bit more Beckett, a bit simpler and more precise, a bit Cormac McCarthy, perhaps. A couple of less semicolons and a few more full stops. But that's the thing is Saturday can be for tinkering with that, to be doing a bit of editing, make sure I'm not doubling up on too many words. Mornings like this are just putting words on paper, not to be putting up a barrier to stop the words from coming out. So that's what I did, and I'm really happy that I was able to do an hour's writing. Like I said, 899 words. I did already have about 270 from the weekend, but still, my daily goal is that 665. So I've clocked that really nicely. I'm very happy, and it's not too far over. It's not like I've written 1500 and I was aiming for 665. 900's fine. It's all, and it'll be edited. It's a good morning. Guess what I'm saying? A successful morning of writing. I'm going to read what I've written. I'm not going to do this each morning, but I feel like it's again, just part of my transparency of the process, and part of me being accountable to myself and wanting to look back at this in a year or 2 or 5 and maybe cringe or maybe smile with, how happy I was to have gotten this down at this point. Who knows what the future emotions will be, but like I said, I won't do this all the time, but I'm going to this morning. So I'll read you what I've got. I'll just bump up the text size here a bit so I can read it carefully. Okay. Best guess is she has something to do with the medical profession, but there are no certainties here. Yes, this is the first... sorry. Start again. Chapter 1. Best guess is she has something to do with the medical profession, but there are no certainties here. Yes, there is the first aid kit strapped to her belt, but then there is the bastardized samurai sword hanging from her back. She looks ready for war, wearing a flak jacket covered in red desert sand, but then she is wearing thigh-high socks. And yes, those are kitten heels, shiny red and highly reflective in the moonlight. Red is a theme here. Her hair, the cross on her first aid kit, the sand on her body, her shoes, and it could just be her dried tears having mixed with the dirt on her face, but it wouldn't be out of the question to say there has been a film of deeper red blood wiped across it not long ago. Beside her is a man seated in a wheelchair. His head is hanging low towards his chest, shoulders slumped, and he's likely unconscious. He could just be sleeping, but the bruises, the bandages wrapped around his eyes, the hacked together pacemaker strapped to his chest, poking out of his blue Hawaiian shirt as it blows in the breeze, yellow hibiscus rippling in the dark. He doesn't look in great shape. His chest is rising and falling in accordance with at least a vague rhythm of life, which appears positive, but there's something else. The way he clutches a massive handgun resting in his lap, more accurately some form of hand cannon given the diameter of its barrel. He grips it as if it is hewn to the bones of his fingers. They're standing on the flat surface rooftop of Bolton Street car park, by all appearances one of the highest points in Newcastle. The position looks out to the harbour, with glistening streaks of illuminated water casting long across the otherwise dark expanse, all the way to the industrial island of star-bright factories raising smoke to join the moonlit clouds above. The harbour connects to a break wall of concrete blocks and piles of rocks that stretch out toward a lighthouse that is presently not operating, and beyond this, the beach, like an elongated banana made of sand, stretched out in a fine arc along the rest of the panoramic view before it becomes swallowed up by apartments and high-rise buildings nestled in the intervening streets. Some of the apartments have active life in them tonight, or the appearance of at the very least, with silhouettes treading the boards behind backlit curtains in a random binary pixelation of existence. 2 apartments black, 1 apartment white, 1 apartment black, 1 apartment white, 3 apartments black, 2 apartments white, 1 apartment black, another apartment black. A sound appears, a low groaning tone, like a piece of machinery perhaps. It brings to mind 2 massive gears interlocking and turning into each other slowly, the pressure of their momentum casting out a drone with such a low resonance that it makes Katita turn around with utter fright when she hears it. The sound appears to be rising up from beneath the car park, travelling up through the ramps and corridors of the concrete expanse towards both Katita and Leif, although only one of them appears conscious enough to have registered the event. It strikes Katita hard. Her face is immediately rendered as if a once absent sickness has spontaneously and violently returned. She says, "We need to get out of here." From the car park to a nearby apartment building, there are 2 suspension wires connecting the structures, thick cords of metal spun between pole positions. They are attached to fat metal rings that have been hewn into the brickwork of the car park and the concrete veranda of one of the apartments opposite. Katita looks at the suspension wires and then towards the beach in the distance. She looks at Leif, unconscious, breathing into his chest, gun clenched, his form bruised and slumped into the wheelchair. She says, "This is almost second nature now." She pauses, closes her eyes, swallows hard, and then opens her eyes and looks back towards the droning grind rising out of the bottom of the car park. She says, "A complicated surgery will take place on the beach tonight. It will happen. Let's go." With that, she gets behind Leif and pushes his wheelchair forward towards the edge of the car park. Looking down over the edge, it is a 20 or 30-story drop to the ground. But she doesn't look down. Rather, she confidently leverages Leif back in his wheelchair and pushes hard against the concrete barrier that marks the edge of the building, raising the wheelchair up and over the edge and onto the suspension wires, the back two wheels of the chair straddling the wires, the front two wheels sitting just on them, delicately, although you wouldn't know given Katita's movements. There's nothing fragile or careful about the way she operates here. Although this is incorrect, that's making a judgment call on how she's facing the situation, for while it doesn't appear she's being careful, it may well be that her style here, which is forthright and in control and certain of every step and move, is actually exhibiting the most careful approach that a moment like this requires. Why be timid about a situation when you know exactly what you're doing? So that's it's scene 1 of Act 1.1, and so that was Monday's piece, and then tomorrow I'll do scene 2 of Act 1.1. So I'm very happy that I was able to get that down this morning. Like I said, I had the description of Katita and of Leif from the weekends, and to be able to write the rest of that this morning felt really good. Pardon me, and I look forward to doing the next part tomorrow, and hopefully keeping the other routines up across my day that I think are giving me the energy and the vividity to do what I'm doing. So happy days. I hope you have a terrific day, and I'll see you tomorrow.